So this news outlet has been covering problems at the South Carolina Department of Juvenile Justice for years. Unfortunately, those problems continue to worsen. The agency has descended into chaos and is now in a situation where the juvenile inmates are running the facility. Now, for months, Wendy Varner of Columbia, South Carolina, has been one of the foremost advocates for reform at DJJ. Now, this is very close to Wendy's heart because her daughter is a former juvenile inmate at one of their facilities. I sat down with Wendy today, and here, in her own words, is what she and her family have experienced with this agency. Well, I was just going to say, before we really dove into some of the particulars of DJJ and the problems that we've been reporting on as recently as yesterday, Wendy, I wanted to just give folks who are going to be watching this a sense of kind of who you are, where you come from, how you got involved with this agency and this ongoing effort to hold it accountable, and just sort of tell folks a little bit about you, about how you came to be involved in this case and where you think it's headed.
Well, when it was June of 2020 is when I first had the unfortunate pleasure of dealing with DJJ, the agency. What a lot of people may not know is there's two aspects of DJJ. You have DJJ, the entity, which is like your secure facilities, your actual jail or prisons, whatever you want to call them. And then you have the community aspects of DJJ. And I first had to deal with the community aspects. That's where you have your offending counties, whoever's over the county itself in which you reside. That was a mess in itself. And then it was an even bigger mess when she got put into state custody. She was there on.
And she, just real quick, she is your daughter.
Yes, she was 13 at the time. She had never been in trouble. She had no record. She had never been in the back of a cop car. She'd never been in a set of handcuffs. She had got suspended from school once for fighting, and that was something that had been ongoing since the second grade between her and that girl. So, I mean, she first year in band, active in the community. She did volunteer work. And in her case, particularly, she's asthmatic, and she was taking an asthma medication called Singulair. The drug company failed to list a black box warning side effect called acute neuropsychiatric behavior effects. She burned down her house.
Okay.
And at the time, the reason why that they, from what they relayed to me, and it was such during that time, I'm going to go back a little bit.
Okay.
Because when they first took her into custody, because she told them that she did it. She had thought that our house had been taken over by a demonic entity, and the only way to protect her family was to cleanse our house in fire.
Wow. Okay.
And she told her public defender when he talked to her, they would not let me talk to her. They did not tell me where they took her. They did not let me go back during questioning. Nothing. When I talked to the investigator, she was already halfway to BRC before I didn't even know she was gone. And
No parent,
where they took her.
no parent, no guardian, no lawyer.
Nope, not even a guardian lighter, not even a female officer in the room with a male investigator.
Okay.
She was 13 years old, and I teach my children. Go ahead.
No, tell us what happened after that. She's taken back, and
right, and I teach my children to be accountable. I teach them to tell the truth. You know, if you did it, you did it. That's fine. Well, but don't try to cover it up. Let's just, be honest with me, and we'll work through things. But you got to be accountability, because good, bad, right, or wrong, there's an outcome to every choice we make. And she's honest to a fault. And like I told the investigator, and like I told the judge, she said she did it. She told you she did it. She at the time, she was not sorry. because why should she be sorry for something that she thought was not a bad thing at the time? She was not in her right frame of mind because of the medication. And she even told them that, they said, well, when you say something told you to do it, what do you mean? And she said, well, it's not like you and I talking now. It was, I hear you with my ears. This was like a thought in my head.
Right.
They just completely dismissed that. They told me that I was in denial. Even though I had all the proof, I had reports from the FDA, I had medical records. They didn't even let me speak to my daughter. She was not allowed to write me a letter. They took her into custody on June the 20th of 2020. The first letter I got from my daughter was October of 2020. And we had sent all the supplies. I mean, I'm sorry, everybody in the family, that facility probably still has stamps, envelopes, and paper that my family sent up there when she was in custody.
Sure.
And it took me 5 days to find out where they had taken my daughter. It took me 5 days to find her. No one would talk to me. No one would give me answers. They would say, oh, you got to call this person or call that person or call this person. And it was just, nobody was, it's okay. She can come outside. It's okay. That was, she come out. I tried to get her to talk to you. I asked her if she would, if you wanted to. And she's like, well, what do they want to talk about? I'm like, just because you were there. You know more inside information than I do. And she did talk to, I think Saskia from FITSNews when she first came home. That was the only interview that she would do when she first got here. And they asked her how they treated her, and she said they treat us like animals. They don't even treat you like humans. So November of 2020, there was an incident where it was one of the girls' birthdays in the facility. So they had gotten what they call a porta bunk. And I'm not sure how they got it, but from what I was told from the kids, that they let them have it, that the staff had given that to them. So they had rode it down a flight of stairs. And when their boss came in, or they call them white shirts, when the upper ranking officers came in, the staff that were supposed to be watching them acted like that they called it a riot. You had 5 girls, my daughter included, riding a porta bunk down a flight of stairs, and that's a riot. So my daughter, she's a very petite, small build child. A grown man, and I've seen this guy, Lieutenant Renwick was his name. He had her, she said that he had her arm so far behind her back, she thought her shoulder was going to dislocate. And then he forced her to the ground. And mind you, she only had her panties and bra on at that time. Right. And they put her into what they call the wet cell. The wet cell has no bathroom. It has no sink. There is a drain in the middle of the room, and there's a bucket, and there is a cement slab on the side of that cell, and that's where you sleep. Sometimes there would be 2 to 3 inches of stagnant water in that cell at any given time. They left her and the 4 other girls in that cell anywhere between 12 to 18 hours. And in audio, you can hear her, she's crying, and she tells me, she said, we were asking for clothes, we were asking for blankets, we were asking for food. They wouldn't even give me a cup of water. And do you have any idea how cold it gets in the middle of the night with just your panties and bra? I said, I can imagine. And when I asked the staff about the incident, because I had asked to speak back to him, I said, is that not cruel and unusual punishment? And he said, unusual, yes. Cruel, I can't say. I'm not an attorney. You'll have to ask your attorney.
Wendy, thank you again for all you're doing. Thank you for taking the time with us. But more importantly, again, thank you for shining a light on this agency and working to hold it accountable.
Oh, I'm going to continue. And we'll always be in touch with you for sure, because you have been you and Mandy have been my hardest hitters. You have never let me down. And I would not have been able to expose what I have been able to expose without you and Mandy. And I am eternally grateful that FITSNews took the time to listen and care. And because I was scared to death. DJJ, the old administration uses fear tactics and scare tactics to keep you quiet. And I was scared to death that if I went public with what I had, that I would never get my daughter out of there. Because they were using her freedom as leverage for me to be quiet. And like I said, I'm eternally grateful for y'all, because y'all allowed me to break through that fear and say, you know what, I'm not scared anymore. You can't scare me because I did it. And now you're scared. And you have good reason to be scared. And I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to keep pushing it, because you're never going to do this to another family again.